Hello, welcome back, and thanks for listening to this special episode of Sync Slate 6 Mini, where we're going to be reviewing some of the highlights of the Korean Film Festival. So in today's episode, we will be reviewing 2019's Idol, or Usang, as it's known. My name's Andrew, and the only man in the room with me is Joe.
Hi there. 안녕하세요.
Oh yeah, 안녕하세요. Where to begin? Should we just go straight into it?
Yeah, okay. So this movie was directed by Lee Seung-jin, like Andrew said, in 2019, starring Han Suk-kyu, Sol Kyung-gu, and Chun Woo-hee as the three major roles, but it's got quite a large cast as it is. It's quite a long film. What was it, like 2 hours 20? Something like that?
Yes.
And incredibly complicated as well.
Yes, very complicated.
We definitely left the cinema. I'm glad that I said that when we left as well, because we were all kind of looking at each other like, yeah, that was really good. Yeah. And I was like, I'm confused as shit.
Yeah. Well, you went to the bathroom straight after.
Yeah.
And I went back into the foyer to the bar, and we were with friend of the show, Harry, came with us. And he was like, what do you think? And I had to put my stuff on the bar and be like, I liked it, but
yeah, it's a very divisive film, I think. Technically it was wonderful, but
yes,
story-wise was not just confusing, but a little bit disjointed, and some plot threads didn't quite line up, I felt.
Yeah, it got very muddled. There was like a lot of subplots, but you couldn't really tell if it was a subplot or it sort of everything came off the main plot.
Yeah.
And it sort of, I think it was somehow at the end meant to all tie together, but it didn't. A lot of elements just got left hanging and didn't have closure.
Yeah, since obviously last night I had a bit of time to reflect on it now, I really enjoyed the ambiguity behind it. And I'm starting to appreciate this film more and more as time has gone by after seeing it. I think initially coming out, I was like, oh, I don't know if that actually worked. But I think after, say, 12 hours since we've been in the cinema...
You slept on it.
I've begun to appreciate it more and more.
Okay. Do you want to do the plot overview?
Yeah, as we said, it was such a convoluted storyline that I thought I'd write down just a quick synopsis. We don't want to go into spoilers too much.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a film definitely worth watching.
Yes, I think it's worth a watch.
That's interested in film and Korean culture and the problems that they have in society over there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like modern problems. Yeah, for sure.
And anyone, definitely. So essentially it's a story. Two fathers are connected by a hit and run accident involving their sons. The title character, Koo Myung-hee, is a politician who has his eye on the presidency, and his son, Joan, is the supposed perpetrator of the crime. However, Koo stays focused on his son taking the legal route and not trying to cover up the incident. In contrast to Koo, the story plays out through a van driver and air-conditioned repairman, Jong-sik, who has a mentally handicapped son who is the victim of the hit and run. He is full of rage and will not settle for a mild sentence of the politician's son, so he hires a private detective to conduct his own investigation. We find out that there was a witness to the accident, and they saw a young woman leaving the scene. It turns out to be Jong-sik's daughter-in-law, Ryeon-hwa, who at first comes across as an innocent bystander. However, a look into her past reveals a troubled history. She is an illegal immigrant from China who is prone to torture and violent behavior herself. This movie addresses themes of class, immigration, and morality with a neo-noir finish. It's technically and stylistically masterful and will have you unraveling the plot in your mind for days after.
Yes, definitely.
That's a very, very brief overview.
Yeah.
I've left out probably 90% of the cast.
Yeah.
With that and plot as well.
Yeah, because it doesn't 3-act or 5-act structure. Definitely not. It's
very, very unique in the way of its like storytelling.
Yeah. Do you think that was a purposeful decision?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not that familiar with Eason Jin,
Okay.
but I've heard good things. And since like the early 2000s, he's been making some really, really poignant and impressive films. Apparently.
Okay. That's okay. Yeah. That sort of plays into more, I think, knowing that it might not be, it might be a choice to not make it like a normal narrative.
Yeah.
I think knowing that kind of makes me feel better about it.
Yeah, exactly. Anyone that's looking for a movie that's going to be tied up in a nice, neat little bow at the end, this isn't the movie for you.
Yeah.
Um,
It's tricky though, because it is essentially like a whodunit kind of mystery cover-up thriller type thing.
Yeah.
So those
that's-
films do usually end up with a bow.
Well, that's
at the
kind
end.
of what it pretends to be when it's actually more of a commentary, I think.
Yes.
So yeah, you go in and you're expecting one thing and you're actually given another, which I really liked about it. It did kind of it did have a few very weak kind of explanations for a few things.
Yes.
There was the whole whodunit kind of got wrapped up in a pretty messy way by just introducing a new character.
Yeah.
Who was previously unseen, unnamed.
Yeah.
But that essentially isn't really what the film is about.
No. It's more. A big commentary is patriarchy, and that, there's father-son relationship, there's daughter-father-in-law relationship.
Yeah.
And then there's immigration themes and like how people are relating. There's also some stuff about more with the counselor, or is it chancellor? Counselor?
Yeah, yeah.
His mother is in it. His parents are in it, and his mum's in it too. And her interactions with was it Rain?
Renoir.
Renoir. Yeah, that sort of plays into it quite a lot.
Well, she's an immigrant as well.
Yeah.
So the president is second generation immigrant.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No, it was. I don't really.
It's really hard to.
Yeah, it's really hard to talk about without spoiling, isn't it?
Like you say, I really like some of the direction in it was insane.
Yeah.
And there is a scene, I said this last night to you guys, but there's a scene where this is really hard to do without spoiling it. It's like the equivalent of a strangle scene, I would say, but it's not. But the camera angle is just the rear view mirror
Right.
on the character's eyes, and it's really tense.
Yeah.
And it's so gripping, it's so well acted, and the sound editing with it, it's just amazing.
Yeah, there were some very, very uncomfortable moments.
Yeah.
In it, the director really used silences very well.
Yeah.
In this, there was whole probably 10-15 second sections where it's just the camera spanning around a room where it's just complete dead silence.
Yeah.
And then if you have that along with the complicated storyline, it leaves you very unsettled.
Definitely.
While watching it.
Yeah, there are some really unsettling moments, and there is some quite gory, graphic moments.
Yeah, it wasn't. I read a quick synopsis before we went in, and I thought it was going to be more gun-toting, kind of bit actiony thriller.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not. You only have a few moments of violence, but those moments are pretty horrific.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Some of it is very disturbing. If it was lesser acted, I think it would have fallen apart.
Yeah.
Even more. I mean, it is. I still think it's muddled, but the acting holds it together.
Yeah.
The lead, she.
Chun Woo-hee.
No, not he. She.
Yeah, Chun Woo-hee.
Oh, it's sorry.
Yeah.
Chun Woo-hee.
Yeah.
This is so I can
she's won a
re-edit
lot
that. Really,
of
because
awards. Yeah.
I thought she was kind of hamming it up in parts.
Really?
Yeah, I thought there was. I mean, it's because of her character too, but it's really tricky because her character arc, it kind of starts as sort of the person in distress,
Yeah.
but there's a drastic U-turn.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, you initially think she's some sort of femme fatale character,
Yeah.
but she definitely is not.
No.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that happens off screen with her as well that
Yeah.
you don't actually get to see. But
And I think maybe having a bit more of a backstory for her. I know they do explore it lightly, but
Yeah.
I think actually this is a lot of what lets it down for me is I don't care about any of these characters. They're essentially all bad people. I can't think of one that's like
yeah, that's true.
maybe the dad whose son is killed.
Yeah.
But still, he's not like the best bloke
No.
in the room.
Yeah. What, Jong-sik?
Yeah, John Sick.
Yeah. What did you think of so when we went to this screening, there was a representative of the London Korean Film Festival there talking about why this film was chosen.
Are you going to mention the first
And
line?
He said that I won't spoil it because he didn't spoil it for us, but he
Yeah.
said it's probably one of the most shocking opening lines that he's ever seen, and I completely agree with him. I can't think of a opening line that's that really just kind of threw me back in my chair.
Yeah.
As much as that,
It was like, oh, what are we going to watch?
which comes full circle as it's repeated at near the end
Yeah.
of the film.
But it's not quite full circle because something else happens after that.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean about sometimes it's muddled, but then maybe it's our like approach to how we watch films. Because usually in, say if that was the Hollywood version or whatever, it would probably end where it started. Because that's, you're
Yeah.
doing that whole, non-linear storytelling. But there's a bit after it. But also on that, like the fact that his son is disabled,
Yeah.
it lends like two things to the story, but it's not actually really needed that much. So it's like that opening line is a reason why he needs to be disabled, and what happens, I can't do it. But,
Yes.
and
Yeah,
what
I know
happens in the shower,
Yeah.
the aftermath of that
Yeah.
shower part. But it's like you couldn't, I don't know, he didn't need to be disabled for either of those things to be like that. Maybe the first.
No, again, it's coming back to that whole thing. It had a lot of like of threads of story threads
Yeah.
that it didn't quite need. But I don't know. I because it was so ridiculously complicated, it made me enjoy it a lot more. Though.
Yeah. And there are parts where you're absolutely gripped.
Yeah.
It's like almost edge of your seat drama.
Well, it was 2 hours 20 and it felt like an hour.
Yeah, I agree.
It goes very, very fast.
Yeah.
But it's fast paced the entire way through.
Yeah.
It starts off within 5 minutes that crime has already been
Yeah.
committed.
I really like that. And we've obviously been watching a lot of Korean cinema in these past few weeks, but I'm starting to notice that, and I really enjoy it, that sort of the major thing will usually happen, or it seems to happen at the start quite a lot, and then you get so much depth into what that one event has done and what caused that,
and the
that's
ramifications of that event. Yeah, completely. It's Koreans don't like fucking around with building the story up with no action. They like to start at 100 miles an hour and go from there, which is great storytelling. It's
yeah,
different.
it is. Another thing in this movie that gets quite confusing or lost is there's a symbolism of leaves, like tree leaves.
Yeah.
But that's not resolved either.
No, I think that leads into Jong-sik's son's mental illness again.
Yeah.
There might be some metaphor behind that, but I mean, it's again, it's in such a convoluted story
Yeah,
that
exactly.
it kind of gets lost.
But what is great is that it's. I would wonder if it's the same in Korea too, if it's divided people so much about whether they like it or not.
Yeah. Well, this film didn't come out to great reviews in Korea. I think it's quite harshly judged. But I don't know. What do you think? How would you rate this?
It's very hard to be critical of it because some bits, the bits that are amazing are amazing. You know, this is very bad English. I'm
Hashtag
using.
reviewer.
Yeah. But I don't know, the unresolvedness. It's frustrating because in my mind, I want to say that's a bad point. But then if it's also a stylistic approach, it's very smart too.
Yeah.
So I'm very.
I think they made the film they wanted to make.
Yeah.
Without kind of pandering to the audience or anything. I really enjoyed it. It'll be a long time before I want to watch it again, though.
Yes, I agree.
Any more points on this?
Let me think. I'll cut this out. I want to say about the characters. No, I think.
I've got one part that was just an amazing use of camera angle that I wanted to mention.
Oh yeah.
Well, actually, Harry mentioned it when we left the cinema last night, which was you're in a police station and there's one of the characters sitting down on a chair, and the whole room starts to kind of wobble and distort.
Yeah.
And you're like, what's going on here? It looks kind of like fantastical. It kind of looks like Jumper when someone like warps in.
Yeah.
And then you realize it's being shot from behind a two-way mirror with someone banging on the mirror to make the whole room distort. And I just thought that was shot so well, such a unique way of doing it that I'd never seen before. And yeah, massively impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. It's definitely hard to go into the bits I didn't like without spoiling it. Spoiling it. For anyone listening, I'm struggling to speak because I've got a wisdom tooth coming through, and it's forcing me to use one side of my mouth more than the other.
Have you? Which
So,
side?
Right at the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's gross.
Yeah, it is. And yeah, it's really frustrating.
Oh,
Just
buddy.
trying to, So I'm slightly at an angle to the microphone. It's it's really annoying.
The side of your mouth like Sean Connery.
Yeah, exactly. Sean Connery. I guess I'll just say on one last bit that's quite confusing is there's sort of characters. I mean, this is kind of realistic too, but there is characters that pop in and out, and then they're kind of gone again. You know, there's the guy that he meets in the church. There's the person who lives on the hill. You know, on the bend where the car crash happens.
Yeah.
There's that person. There's the person that rocks up in the massage parlor. Yeah, there's all these kind of...
Yeah.
there's a lot of it that's just like, wait, how does this person relate to this story? And then you're like, okay. And when I guess it's a way to make it unsettling because you're so... It makes it so cat and mouse.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You're with
You
it.
couldn't really look away from the screen
No.
at any point whilst watching the
Yeah,
film.
and I think Harry said that too. He said, I'm so glad I watched this in a cinema because if I'd taken my eyes off it, I
completely lost.
Yeah. Which again goes to show that, like you said, it's the film he wanted to make because I think you need to sit in a cinema too.
Or turn your phone off
Yeah.
and put it in another room.
Yeah, and tie your hands.
Tie yourself to the...
Yeah, tie your hands to your legs. Yeah. Cool. Should we give it a Sync Slate rating?
Yeah, what do you think?
I'm going to go... I need to figure out the maths on this. Obviously 3 is 50%. 3.6?
Okay, I'm just going to go straight for 4 out of 6.
Okay.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Not everyone will enjoy it, though.
No.
I can see why it's very divisive.
Yeah.
If that's your thing, if you're into like complex dark stories with a lot of moving pieces.
And social and political undercurrents.
Yeah, and you don't have a need for like a resolution at the end, then you'll love this film.
Yeah.
But yeah, if not, then give it a miss, I'd say.
I think actually another thing to do as well, if you're not enjoying it, like watch it up to the point where you think it should end. Do you know what I mean? Because there's a few bits where I'm like, oh, this is definitely done by now.
Yeah.
And then it carried on. Like I said, the act structure is just not conventional at all.
I'm not happy with you conveying tone and turning a movie off in the middle.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Sometimes, when you're reading a book and you're like, I cannot finish this, so I'll just stop here.
No.
No?
No, not at all.
That's like this. I don't know. I was reading Gravity's Rainbow, which is notoriously difficult. I got to I said I was struggling with it. I'm like, right, I'm going to get to page 100. If I'm still the same, I'm taking it back.
Done.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And I don't regret it.
Fair.
Anyway, on that
Thanks
note,
for listening to the mini episode on Idol.
Yep. And we'll have more
Coming your way.
Yeah.
Peace.
All around the place. Thank you. Give us a like, subscribe, follow, all those things.
Yep.
At SyncSlate6 on Instagram, Twitter, Gmail.